Good morning or good afternoon, and welcome to this small session about understanding external quality assessment. This small session is a recap of a larger lecture that was given in the framework of the DIVE project. And the DIVE project, meaning Digitalizing Vietnamese Education, is an EU-funded project that supports the Vietnamese institution to go through their digital transition. I am Christophe TERRASSE and I represent EFMD, which is one of the partners of this project. EFMD is not a university, but a network of universities and business schools, a large international network, and also an accreditation agency. And in this session, we will see what are the different quality assurance tools. So when we speak about these external quality assurance tools, what do we see? We see that there are many: national authorization, certifications, accreditations. Inside the accreditation, you must differentiate between the institutional accreditation and the program accreditations. And of course, you have the rankings that you see all the time in the press, specialist press, on newspaper. And all that is very confusing to the eyes of the manager of universities. So the goal of this session is to understand all these mechanisms, who is in charge of what, how do they complement each other, and also what they tell you and what they don't tell you. And in the next 15 minutes, we will cover all these points. So let's start by understanding all these mechanisms and starting by national authorization and ministerial visa. What do we see when we speak about this authorization? Of course, they are compulsory, meaning that the university must receive them before being able to deliver a program and award a diploma. What we see also is that they ensure the minimal quality standards. In general, they are at the institutional level, which means that the charter is conferred to the university, or it can be the authorization of delivering one specific program. The scope is different from one country to the other, meaning that the legal requirements are not the same in each of the countries, but inside the country, what is interesting is that they are the same for all the HEIs, higher education institutions. But what you must be aware is that many of these national authorization or ministerial visas, as we call them, are very administrative. In many cases, it's a compliance check. They are not always linked to the market expectations, and there is a certain lack of reactivity. As the students' expectations and needs are evolving, it always takes a bit of time so that the state, the ministries, the national agencies catch up and apply these changes to their requirements for the authorizations and the visa. So this is what we can say about the national authorization. The second part of external quality assurance tools are what we call the specialized evaluation. They are evaluation systems that, contrary to the national authorization that we were looking at just beforehand, they do not lead to a formal award. They are generally used not to evaluate the broad of the offer of a university, but to focus on one specific aspect of the program. It could be, for example, the assessment of the impact of one program. What does it bring to the society? What does it bring to the academia? What does it bring to the students? It could be some certifications for online learning. It could be certification for language training, which is a very important part of the specialized evaluation. Or it could be, for example, as we see developing in Europe, inclusivity assessments, meaning that we will check whether the program is fit for all different types of audience. So as you see, not a general evaluation, but rather a specific aspect which is evaluated. The third part of this external, and by far the most important, especially in business education and management education in which EFMD is involved, are the accreditation. Generally speaking, just like in the case of EFMD or ACSB in the United States or AMBA in the UK, they are conferred by non-governmental bodies. You have many types of accreditations. You have general accreditation for any disciplines. You have specialized accreditation when we focus on one type, on one discipline, for example, entrepreneurship programs, accounting programs, online programs accreditation. And there is another very important difference, which is that you can have institutional accreditation or program accreditation. And we will see in more details what it means. So let's start by the institutional accreditation. We are looking at the institution as a whole, and the accreditation agency will check whether all the conditions in the institution are met so that we can be reasonably certain that the institution will deliver good quality education. So if you want, we are checking the foundation, the environment of the education. On the other side, we have the program accreditation. Here we don't look at the whole of the institution, but we concentrate on the program itself, and we check whether it has been correctly designed, whether it's well delivered, and whether there are some quality control mechanisms which are embedded in the program. If you want to take a comparison, just think about a restaurant. Just like, typical restaurant. There are two types of accreditation. The institutional accreditation would be to check the restaurant as a whole. We will look at the kitchen, we will look at the staff, whether they have the good qualification, we will look at the procurement, whether they use good products, and so on and so on. We will look at the dining room and all these aspects. While the program accreditation, in my example, would be to concentrate on the dishes themselves, to see whether they have been well prepared, whether they are tasty, whether they are well presented, and whether their cost is acceptable for the client. So you see, it's always checking the quality, but taking different lenses, different focus to assess it. In one side, we have a large focus and we give the accreditation to the institution. On the other side, we concentrate with a smaller focus on the program itself. But whatever we do, whether institutional or program accreditation, what is important is that the accreditation is here to provide market transparency, market clarification. This is the case for management education, where we have lots of competitors of different quality, which are making lots of different offers, and it is essential to provide a help for the students when they are choosing which program in which they will study, to the companies, because they will hire the graduates once the students finish their studies, and also from the schools themselves when they are trying to make some partnerships. They need a system that tells them this is a good institution or this is a not so good institution. So this is the first part, essential part of the accreditation, giving some transparency, contributing to the market transparency, and visibility, offering visibility, recognition for the best institutions. But there is another very important, essential aspect of the accreditation, is that they are conceived as a quality improvement tools. So the institution itself uses them for its visibility, for its recognition, but also as a powerful and very efficient way to evaluate their quality level, benchmark with the competitors or with the partners, and to draw some plans for getting better and better. So keep in mind that accreditation, whether institutional or whether program accreditation, are not only a visibility tool, a marketing tool, but essentially a quality improvement tool. And last but not least, the rankings. Why do we put the rankings inside the external quality improvement tools? It's simply because they are everywhere. Here I put some of the ranking that you're familiar with. It could be the Shanghai ranking, it could be the Financial Times Business School ranking for management education, and all these rankings are very visible. They are widely used because everybody is consulting them. They have very powerful effect. As soon as an institution progress in the rankings, it sees the results in terms of number of applications, whether from staff, from faculty, from partners institution. They are also very effective because they are providing a synthetic view. And the last thing is that they are impossible to avoid in the day of today. It is impossible not to be listed in the rankings, simply because if you're not in the ranking, then people tend to ignore you. So these are lots of advantages, but they also have lots of drawbacks and some precautions and some things you need to be aware when looking at the ranking. The third thing is that they can be easily manipulated. I mean, they are done by journalists using the same criteria, and these criteria are easy to jailbreak. There are lots of time some criticism that the rankings lack transparency. You know why you're number 10, number 20, number 3, but you don't know why, and you don't really know how the ranking have been computing. In many cases, and this is dangerous, the ranking may be misinterpreted, meaning that people do not exactly understand how to use them. For example, they would assume that if you're number 2, you're twice better than number 4, which is not the case. And they will not understand that you belong to the same league or you don't belong to the same league of the people surrounding you in the ranking. So it's not a numerical order, and this needs to be taken into account. And of course, the reliability of the rankings vary depending on who is doing the ranking. So to make a long story short, we have 3 layers of external quality tools. First of all, the compulsory one, the basic one, which are the governmental visa and authorization. They are compulsory, as I just said, and they guarantee the minimal quality. You have then the accreditation. They go, and they are voluntary, and they go one step further than the authorization. They are recognizing the excellencies. And you have a third type, a third layer, the rankings, which provide a comparison between the different institutions. And they are done by journalists, while the other ones are done by professionals. So to sum it up in the last minutes that I have is drawing you a panorama of these different excellent quality assessment tools, quality assurance tools, external ones. You have first of all the national certifications. Then once you get it, you are entitled to deliver a diploma. You go for the national accreditation to show your excellence. Then you go at the international level for an international accreditation, and all that will fit the ranking. What is important to differentiate is the authorization that certify the minimal quality, while the accreditation are recognizing excellence, meaning a higher level of quality. And with that, I thank you for your attention. I hope you found this session, micro session, useful. And I would like to remind you that you can access all the materials, all the training, all the resources of this project for free, just visiting our website, which is www.dive-project.org. Thank you very much. Come on,